Good afternoon, everyone. I can see Professor Barola, ma'am. I think you have joined. Yes. Good afternoon, ma'am. If you have already joined the meeting, please let us know. Yes.
Yes, Dr. Tiwari, I'm here.
Welcome, ma'am. Welcome to IP College. We are just waiting for a few more participants to join in, and then we'll probably begin in a moment.
I'm here only, so you can just talk and I'll be here.
Yeah. Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Just a few minutes. So good afternoon, everyone. Let us now start with today's session. Others may join in a while I introduce the speaker to all of you. I would like to welcome the esteemed speaker of today's session, Professor Ruchi Badola, Dr. Anindita Roy Saha, Coordinator Center for Earth Studies, all the faculty members and participants in this special session in the online certificate course on climate, community, and conservation. And the today's session is going to be under the theme community and conservation. On behalf of the Department of Environmental Studies and the IP College community, ma'am, I would like to extend my sincere thanks and I would like to welcome you to our college. It is my privilege to introduce you to all the participants. Professor Badola obtained her master's in economics from Garhwal University and joined the Wildlife Institute of India in 1988 as a research scholar. She worked for her PhD on economic assessment of people-forest interactions and the elephant forest corridor linking the Rajaji and Corbett National Parks. Subsequently, in 1993, she joined the faculty of the Institute in the Department of Eco-Development Planning and Participatory Management. She is involved in research projects for generating information on ethnobiology, the socioeconomics of natural ecosystems, and the contribution of ecosystem services for biodiversity conservation and human well-being. She specializes in community stakeholder participation in biodiversity conservation, ecological economics, valuation of ecosystem services, sustainable livelihood, conflict management, and gender issues in conservation. Ma'am, I'm sure that we all are going to benefit immensely from your decades of research experience. I once again welcome you to IP College and hand over the session to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tiwari, and it's a pleasure to be speaking to the students of IP College. So the theme that you've given me is community participation in conservation, and I will be actually dealing with a case study here now. It is about conserving our national river, the River Ganga. And how, although we are a scientific institutions and all our interventions are supposed to be totally scientific, but, community participation or Jan Bhagidari, as we call it, is extremely important in all cases to ensure societal support for conservation. Because in today's world, we cannot, actually have conservation without the support of, society at large. And society at large, and particularly of communities who live around the, areas which are to be protected. So I'm just going to share with you a very interesting project that we are doing for the Government of India, and I will share all dimensions of the project, but I will highlight on the community aspect. Dr. Tiwari, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am, your screen is visible to us.
Okay. So basically, if you, and these students are from all disciplines?
Yes, students are from all disciplines, science, humanities, even commerce students are there. So they're from multiple disciplines, but they all have interest in environment. They have a couple of papers on environment during their undergrads. So
okay, wonderful. So as you can see that, one of the most threatened group of species today is freshwater species. And in fact, the global assessment shows that the maximum threat to the survival of these species is from habitat loss and degradation. The areas where they live, they multiply. If they are lost or degraded, then these species also actually face the trouble. Of course, pollution is one part, but this is the major factor. You can see this. And if you look at the global river fragmentation index, you will see that our India, be it our Indus River system, part of Pakistan and India, the Brahmaputra River system, and the Gangetic River system, all are extremely fragmented and divided. Okay. And again, if you come to the Ganga River, you can see that there's a phone. So this river basically actually originates from Gomukh Glacier at Uttarakhand and traversing through 5 Indian states and covering a distance of 2,250 kilometers, it reaches the Bay of Bengal at, and crossing the Sundarban Delta. So it joins the Bay of Bengal in this part, making this delta. And this extraordinary journey of this river is through a multitude of altitudes, climate zones, land use, flora, fauna, social and cultural life. So basically, it is the river of India, as Jawaharlal Nehru had said. So it is, and it was declared the National River of India in 2009. So as I already told you that it is 20 to 25 kilometers long. It goes through two countries, India and Bangladesh. Its basin covers 26% of the landmass of India, and 40% of the population of India is actually living in its basin. 30% of water resources of the country are, from this river and its system. Total 47% of India's irrigated area is there. A large number of major and minor projects, and lot of sewage is being, dropped into this river every day. However, despite all this, this river is very, very rich in biodiversity. We have 5 species of aquatic mammals that include the Gangetic dolphin, the freshwater dolphin, which you can see here with its long snout. Then you have another species of dolphin, which is the Irrawaddy dolphin, which actually lives in brackish water, not in fresh water. That is found in the Sundarban area. It has a very small snout. And then you have 3 species of otters. So these are the 5 mammalian species here. There are a large number of aquatic birds, reptiles, amphibians, and fish that are found. And here you can see the highly endemic species of crocodilian, the gharial, which is found only in the Gangetic river system. And you can see the
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
The slides that you are showing are just on the is static. It's not moving. We are only seeing the first slide.
Okay, I think there is some problem with Teams. It doesn't move in presentation mode. Can you see now?
Yes, we can see the next slide.
Can you see now?
Yes, ma'am.
Third slide?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a slide that I was on.
Yes, ma'am. Now we can see.
So I think the moment I put it on presentation mode, it doesn't move. That is the problem with Teams. I have seen many times. So maybe this is okay. So, all these species exist, and the gharial, the Gangetic gharial, is found only in the Ganga river system, and it is known as gharial because of the, pitcher-like structure on its snout. I'll show you other pictures. And if you look at the status of major species in the Ganga, most of them are either critically endangered, endangered, or vulnerable. Okay, and there are a large number of factors which are affecting the biodiversity of Ganga river, which is reduced availability of water, because we are abstracting water for irrigation and dams, etc., which is resulting in a change in the morphology of the river. Lot of pollution from all the habitation industries along the river, then habitat fragmentation and loss, excessive resource extraction in terms of fishing, etc., decline in prey base, then poaching in wildlife, and unsustainable development. So therefore, the Wildlife Institute of India was given a project by the National Mission for Clean Ganga. The efforts to clean the Ganga river have been made since a long time. And, there was a GAP program, Ganga Action Plan, Phase 1, Phase 2. And only in 2014, the mission was formed. The National Mission for Clean Ganga was formed. Okay. So this, the difference between the GAP and NMCG projects is that during the GAP projects, there was a lot of technological intervention in terms of, building infrastructure, ghats, etc. The second phase, the phase when the mission was started under the Ministry of Jal Shakti now, the difference were 2 things. They realized that if we want to conserve this river, we will also have to conserve its ecology, not only the technical part, right? So that was one, and that is why the importance to wildlife and biodiversity. The second was that if we really want to sustainably conserve this river, then it has to be with the participation of various stakeholders. And that is why we were given this project to develop a science-based aquatic species restoration plan for Ganga river by involving multiple stakeholders. And it had several components of the project were there, which included establishment of a center at Wildlife Institute of India, which included capacity building of various stakeholders, doing multiple surveys in the river, and then engaging the people, so as to cover the socio-political, ecological, and as well as the socio-economic dimensions of river conservation. Lot of awareness, because Maybe you people know because you are students, you are studying in a very good university, but most people who even live along the Ganga in cities would not even know about the existence of these species in the river. So it is not, we assume that people know everything, but it doesn't happen like that. So this center was established at the Wildlife Institute of India, which is a key decision and policy support center with a lot of scientific knowledge and database on Ganga River and its aquatic biodiversity that has been generated. And a lot of literature has been generated through this center. And there are regular TV program on radio, All India Radio, Dehradun on Ganga Ki Baat is held every week, where our people and researchers go and talk so as to communicate to the people what we are doing. A large number of knowledge products in English, Hindi, and other languages have been developed and released at high level platforms so that awareness is there at the highest level also. So again, from our surveys, it was very interesting to find that we assume that Ganga is dirty, it is polluted, it is, in a very bad state, but it is not true. We found that 50% of the river stretch was actually teeming with wildlife, where they were thriving, they were breeding, which meant that these are the areas which are, this is one from Devprayag to Rishikesh in Uttarakhand, which is very rich in fish biodiversity, otters, birds, etc. Then in Uttar Pradesh near Bijnor, this till Narora, where the nuclear power plant is there, these are the areas which have excellent habitat for dolphins, gharials, muggers, apart from terrestrial wildlife such as swamp deer. And as we come down, you can see that these are all highly industrial areas, Farakkabad, Kannauj, Kanpur. And again, as the Yamuna joins in Allahabad, it brings more water. Because at Kanpur barrage, most of the water is abstracted, so the river is absolutely dry. Then the Yamuna joins and the water comes in, and so come the species. And right till Bihar border near Buxar, this is again another high priority area for conservation. Again in Bihar, we have high priority areas. And in Jharkhand also, again, very good sighting of species and birds, and also in West Bengal. So these high biodiversity areas have been identified, and currently we are working to restore and strengthen these areas. So you can see that we have done these intensive monitoring in terms of, looking at the river, its ecology, genetics, and also looking at the pollution, that which areas are having very, very high risk from pollution, which are the low risk areas. See, low risk areas are where there is a lot of water. When there is low water in the river, it will become high risk. Now, West Bengal is high risk because it is getting pollutants and agricultural runoff, using chemical fertilizers. These are all, the crop areas. These are agricultural areas. UP, Bihar is all agriculture. And use of pesticides, insecticides, and also chemical fertilizers actually results in very high levels of pollution in the lower zones. Lot of scientific study reports have been published, and due to these reports, a new wildlife sanctuary was declared in from Prayagraj to Bhadoi district in Uttar Pradesh, and which falls within the 3rd high biodiversity area. Then you must be listening now that Government of India has launched, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has launched the Project Dolphin. So this was presented to the Honorable Prime Minister, this report, and the Project Dolphin is launched like Project Tiger. So the idea is to restore this species in the Ganga river system, or in its habitat. It is found in the Indus river system, it is found in the Brahmaputra river system, and it is found in the Gangetic river system. So when a species comes back, it brings with it the total gambit of conservation. And apart from that, a lot of capacity building programs have been done for students, for forest department, for veterinarians, for policymakers, industrialists, religious groups, all kinds. And we have prepared a lot of material for training. And there is a training database also, and where details of all the training programs are there. It looks something like this, so you can have a look if you want. Then within the forest department, spearhead teams have been established and created, training of trainers, because ultimately these species are within the custody of the forest department. and they have to be trained and sensitized. They have a lot of expertise in terrestrial species, but aquatic species conservation is not their strength point. Then we have established rescue and rehabilitation centers along the Ganga River. One is in Narora within the campus of the atomic power plant, and it is an example of government corporate sector under CSR responsibility. Then we have 3 other centers where any kind of aquatic species who are under distress, who are entangled, or who are caught from poachers, they are brought there, they are given medical attention, and they are released back into the river. And you can see how different target groups are trained for this. Forest department, veterinarians, common people, they are trained. And most of these species are Schedule 1 species. So you cannot even touch them. People are keeping turtles as pets. You cannot keep them. It is illegal. If you are caught, you will be in a lot of problem because these are Schedule 1 species. So it is just like the punishment will be same as for keeping a tiger, because they belong to the same act under the Wildlife Protection Act. A turtle, some species of turtles, and even the tiger. And of course, a lot of trainings and capacity buildings. Then, as I already told you, that community engagement was another important part, and these are the location where we have been working with the communities all along the Ganga River. And almost a large number of villages and districts we have covered in this. And we have created a cadre of trained and motivated people from among the local community, known as Ganga Praharis or guardians of the Ganga, who are actually looking after the Ganga, who are now, we have trained them, they are highly motivated, and they are actually looking after this river it is their responsibility. And how we have made this intervention, I will show you. So you can see this is their white t-shirts which we give them as their dress. This is the current Honorable Minister of Jal Shakti, Shri Gajendra Singh Shekhawat. And these Ganga Praharis, basically we did lot of consultative meetings, sensitization workshops, lot of trainings and skill building programs for them. And also we provided them a platform. It's an online platform where the list of Ganga Praharis is uploaded, and each Ganga Prahari basically has a detail there. So they know that whatever efforts they are making is recognized. They are not being paid for it, but it is a recognition. But because of their capacity development, they are able to get a lot of opportunities for employment. They are able to become leaders within their own community. And this is what is motivating them, because the kind of respect they are getting from the government agencies, from the government, from the people around them, from us, they have become internal part of this project. And another thing, when we are working with the communities, their livelihood becomes very important. So we have done a large number of livelihood trainings, and we have established their linkages with other agencies who can actually take them forward for livelihood. And here, this is a boat which actually floats in Varanasi. It is known as Jalaj. So this boat basically carries the stuff prepared by Ganga Praharis in their livelihood centers. It has these Ganga Praharis who are trained as nature guides. So while they can show you the ghats, etc., they can also tell you about the birds, the dolphins, etc. And we have a beauty parlor also inside this boat. So anybody who wants to, have a leisurely time on the Ganga can do all these things and go in this boat. And this is being run by the Ganga Praharis, a young group of young Ganga Praharis. And they are providing, and see, our Ganga Prahari also interacting with the Honorable Prime Minister. To that level they have gone. The CM is there. The former minister, Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, is there. The state minister is there. The current minister is there. So they are getting all these opportunities. But at the same time, they are also doing a lot of work on their own, through their own initiative. Again, an offshoot of the Ganga Prahari program is the Bal Ganga Prahari. Here we are engaging the children, the young children. And we, it's the philosophy of catch them young, that, they have to be engaged as part of this project. And you can see, can you see this slide? Can you see this slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is it moving now?
No.
Okay, I will. Yeah, so you can see the location of Bal Ganga Prahari. Here we are engaging with the schools because it is difficult to have each child. So we are taking whole entire schools as part of this program. Again, we've prepared a digital using modern technology, a digital platform for preparing micro plans for the villages for the Ganga prairies. So they can actually make development and conservation plans for their own villages and actually upload them where they can be accessed by the district planning authorities and the state planning authorities. So basically, the idea is that we have to take care of all dimensions. And our Ganga prairies have become very, very adept at using social media, using all these meeting platforms. So they are able to participate in online training programs. They are able to conduct these programs. So it's like that, it's multiplying. And also we prepared documents that assess the ecosystem services of the Ganga River. Then for mass awareness, we have created interpretation centers. So this is Ganga Darpan, one center which is at Sarnath in Varanasi. You can see the children actually enjoying inside that center. These are the wall paintings in Varanasi Ghat, but these paintings we have done in many villages. And this is another interpretation center which is at Kanpur Zoo. This is what it looks like from inside. And there was a mobile center. Before we made this center, we had a boat which was flying on the ghats of Varanasi and in which we had an exhibition. So any way to make people aware of what is happening. And lot of information material, both written and in electronic format is made. If you go to the YouTube, you will find there are 4 to 5 films on Ganga prairies. There are a lot of films that we have made for children, for general public about the species, etc. So we have brochures, we have small reading material, popular pamphlets, posters, bookmarks, etc., which we are distributing regularly. And these if you see in the middle, these were used during the Kumbh to educate the people about the importance of these species in our mythology. For example, the Ramayana begins with the pair of Saras crane. Maybe, I don't know if you know that or not, which is the most important bird of the Gangetic plains. And Cronch, it is called Cronch in Ramayana. So it starts with that. So for conservation of species, we can actually appeal to people's religious sentiments also. Then again, we have created puppet shows, street plays, so we have a Facebook page, an Instagram page known as Glimpses of Ganga. So all sorts of medium have been used to make people aware. So a lot of things we could achieve in the first phase of this project. And in the second phase, which started in 2020, we have actually started working in the entire basin of the Ganga. So as you know, there are important tributaries of the Ganga starting right. If we go from east to west, west to east, it is Ramganga, Gomti, Ghagra, Gandak, Kosi, Yamuna. Yamuna will come earlier, Chambal, Son, Roopnarayan, Ajay and Damodar. And there will be some more sub-tributaries also, but we are primarily working in all these tributaries. So because to make sure that the entire Ganga basin is, because a lot of sewage and problems into the Ganga river are coming from, for example, the Yamuna, which passes through Delhi and all and brings the maximum sewage here. Gomti river, which is passing through industrial areas and which is passing through city of Lucknow, etc. So we have to make sure that even these tributaries are clean. Secondly, we also these tributaries are again the habitat for these species of aquatic species, because the government of India plans to make the Ganga river from Haldia to Varanasi, or even right up to Allahabad. They want to make it as National Waterway 1. So if the ships are going to be plying here constantly, then species like dolphin, etc. may not be able to survive. So they will move up into the tributaries. So that is how we have to plan and visualize. So this is the kind of work that we did. And this is, you can see how these species are found. Dolphins in Chambal River. In Ramganga also, it's very rich. Som deer and water birds are there. Then along the Yamuna River, huge variety of birds. And in fact, in your own city of Delhi, you have the Okhla wetland, which is very, very important for birding. You have the Delhi Ridge. So these are all parts of the Yamuna floodplain, where you people could actually go and engage. Again, Gharial in Chambal River is extremely rich in biodiversity. And Saras crane is a bird which is found extensively in agricultural fields. And you can find it in Gomti, then Shelduck in Ajay. These are found all over. So to streamline this work, we are creating a Ganga centralized aqua lab within the Wildlife Institute of India. And this construction of this institute has also started. Again, we are continuing with our task of training the people. So even college students, professors, even the NSS groups are actively engaged with our work as Ganga Praharis, as Ganga Prahari mentors. So you people can actually become Ganga Prahari mentors. And lot of activities we are doing with stakeholders, which include training programs, sensitization workshops, survey works. Lot of children are coming to us for internships wherein they want to work with the communities and species. So this is the entire basin where we are working now. And the Ganga Praharis, you can see the kind of activities they are doing, all sorts of activities, and they are, like our hands in the field. So community engagement has to come with a lot of responsibility on our part, but at the same time, we have to empower them. We have to empower them through capacity building. We have to empower them by giving them a proper voice and a platform. And most important of all, we have to recognize their efforts. So they are the people who are getting featured, in all the documentaries, whether it is the National Geographic, whether it is the Rag Rag Mein Ganga, whether anything. They are getting featured in newspaper stories, in television stories. So they are getting a lot of recognition. So it is a thing of pride for them. And because of this platform, some of them have achieved many things. They have become Gram Pradhans, they have become members of district Ganga committees, they have found jobs, and so on and so forth. And the biggest achievement of ours was, when we saw the performance of these Ganga Praharis during the COVID outbreak. This was the time when nobody could reach these remote areas, nobody could take care of the wildlife, and the people were suffering. And these Ganga Praharis emerged as leaders within their community. They started making the people aware regarding social distancing, wearing masks, use of sanitizers. In fact, one of our Ganga Prahari here, you can see many of them started stitching masks and distributing them. This is our Ganga Prahari who was a PhD student. He developed low quality hand sanitizers and distributed. Some of our women Ganga Praharis developed, sanitizers, and they started sanitizing their villages. Apart from that, they also were rescuing wildlife because we could not reach there. They were distributing food packets to the needy because we were able to raise some funds to work with them from the Ganga Prahari mentors. And therefore, their presence was there everywhere. And slowly, the government started to see they were there and they were rescuing species because nobody could reach that time. The forest department could not reach, we could not reach, but they were there and constantly doing their work. And they get a lot of media coverage. And you can see, they are getting a lot of media coverage and everything. And they were actually recognized as Corona warriors and awarded, several of them. They were trained in collecting water samples, and post-Corona, when the scientific studies had to be done, it was the Ganga Praharis who collected these samples using all scientific protocols and actually brought them to the WIA. They had to send it. They sent it to WIA. From 17, look, and you can see they were awarded. They are being awarded by the Honorable CM. In Uttarakhand, they were awarded. In UP, they were awarded. And even in Bihar. So, this kind of recognition actually builds up their human capital, their social capital, as well as provides them with several opportunities. They were also given letter of recognition from the Honorable Minister of Jal Shakti, so for appreciating their efforts. And as I told you, recently this Jalat Safari was launched, wherein some fishermen have been trained in wildlife viewing, and they are now taking passengers to actually view dolphins in the river and other wildlife. So whatever they were earning as earlier, they are earning much more now. So this is another aspect of the program. Then a museum has been established at Haridwar, known as Ganga Avlokan, where people at Chandighat, where people can actually go and see the activities. And recently a book on Ganga, a coffee table book on Ganga River was released by the Honorable Prime Minister, and the theme of this book is Rowing Down the Ganges. That is what you see as you travel along the Ganga River. It's people, culture, wildlife, forest, everything you can see there. Okay, so this is briefly what I had to say, and I am now open for questions. Thank you. Now you can ask questions.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for that really interesting talk, which has sort of give us an idea that how communities and local people can be actively involved in conservation of not only habitat but also for species. It was really nice to see all the initiatives taken through this project and all the initiatives which can actually involve local people and can gain their help of various stakeholders in ensuring that species and habitat can be conserved. So if the participants, you're requested to unmute yourself if you have any queries or questions you want to ask, or you can also put it in the chat box. So while we get
They are very
questions from
fascinated to know about the species in Ganga, and I've just told you the tip of the iceberg. There are so many interesting species of birds. There are so many interesting species of fish, reptiles. There was a snake which we have discovered after 80 years in the river, sea-bold snake, which is a very important part of the river system, but it was not to be seen. There is a Gangetic shark. Did you know that the Ganga River had shark? A fish, I mean, it is Gangetic shark, which is almost extinct now, but recently we have found one specimen. It is only found in 3 museums in Berlin, in Paris, and in Kolkata. But recently our Ganga prairies have rediscovered it in the Ganga River. So much is happening. It is very exciting, very, very rich river.
So I think there are a few comments and questions in the chat box, ma'am. Would you like me to read them, or you can you can also go through them if you wish.
So far, there are only comments, no questions so far.
Rishita Gupta is asking, to what effect did Ganga Action Plan help in preservation of species and the river?
See, Rishita, as I told you, Ganga Action Plan was the earlier initiative. And conserving the species in River Ganga was not their priority. They were mainly looking at technological interventions, building of ghats, sewage treatment plants, etc. It is only after and species in Ganga were the responsibility of the forest department. And it was never a priority, right? It was in some ways a priority, like Ghadial, they were doing a lot of restocking eggs and all. It is only after the National Mission for Clean Ganga involved the Wildlife Institute of India that we are taking a multi-pronged approach to conserve the biodiversity of Ganga River. And we are doing it along with the respective forest departments of the respective states. And we are doing it along with the other stakeholders and the local community.
Ma'am, I have a query regarding the implementation of these projects, which are basically running through a linear habitat, a river, which is crossing multiple states. So all these states will have different, kind of, the government, the bureaucracy, everything changes once you move from one state to another. So what kind of challenge these poses to a conservation program or to a concerted effort when we are looking at a river Ganga? For something very similar, we try to do with river Yamuna, which crosses Haryana, Delhi, and then goes to UP. So there were some issues that we faced. So is there any similar challenge that you have faced, or you would have you would like to share your experience?
See, challenges will always be there, but one thing is common, that when we talk about Ganga, everybody gets connected. And there has been actually a lot of support from all quarters. A, because it is the Ganga River, and B, because there is the will of the national government. It's very much evident. And the mission has primarily been established for, there is no mission for any other river. There is mission only for Himalayas, there is mission for Ganga. So the intent of the government, this commitment of the central government is very clear. So states, there is full cooperation from the states also.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, I want to ask a question. Good afternoon, ma'am. I wanted to ask one thing. because I'm a faculty here. I'm also a faculty at IP College at the Department of Environmental Studies. So I wanted to know that, like, ma'am, as you have suggested along the, the stretch of River Ganga. So there are like under this project, under Namami Gange project, and a lot of Ganga Praharis have been trained. So because my hometown is Farrukhabad, so Ganga flows through it. So I just wanted to know, can we also do small level projects, like, because there's a broad project that you are working on, the restoration of the Ganges. So can we do small level, train more Ganga Praharis, and can we get connected to it in some way for the Ganga restoration? Ma'am, I think you need to unmute yourself.
Absolutely. In fact, Farrukhabad, we have a very good, vibrant group of young people as Ganga Praharis, both in Farrukhabad and in Kannauj. They are very good. And of course, you can get connected. I mean, if you can become a Ganga Prahari mentor, and because you are a teacher, you can do it immensely. You can do it remotely. You can hold workshops for these Ganga Praharis. We can get you connected to them. So there is a lot of scope to work. I mean, every citizen of this country can contribute to the conservation of this.
Yes, ma'am. Because my PhD work, I did my PhD from Delhi University only. So it was basically focused on pesticide biodegradation in River Yamuna. So I have done a project with ICAR, then in collaboration with IIT Delhi. So we did the bioremediation of pesticides and heavy metals as well. So I just wanted, and ma'am, during my field visits here also, I want to say something, because what I have seen on field. So I think, I believe you must be knowing it. As we know that there are stringent rules, strict rules, that it is strictly prohibited for industries and for the local, sewage to be dumped directly into the rivers. But ma'am, because I was covering whole Delhi stretch of Yamuna, so I have to go to various sites. So at the Wazirabad side, I just wanted to, try to focus your attention here, because this is one big problem. Even, we have those stringent rules. I have seen, ma'am, all of the major drains, 22 major and minor drains of Delhi, they used to dump their waste directly at the Wazirabad, point, Wazirabad bridge. So ma'am, usme kya hota hai, upstream of Yamuna, the water quality of upstream of Yamuna and downstream of Yamuna, just downwards the Wazira, was so drastically different because of that. Don't you think, there should be something more stringent on, more focused rules on making those rules to be followed, whatever we have? Because what are we doing right now? We are dumping all the waste, sewage and all the major, like I have seen it in Delhi, that's why I'm saying it. I have seen it from my own eyes. Because they first of all, what we do, we let our, like, though we say ki Ganga hai ya do bhi nadiyan hamari mata hai, and ye, then we dump all the waste into the rivers. And instead of treating small amount that we could do, by treating that nala or the sewage or wastewater, before dumping into the rivers, we could treat them before dumping into the rivers. Now what we do, instead of treating those 1000 or 2000 liters of water, we contaminate the whole water body. Then we say, because Yamuna is the only water source of Delhi, right? So then we have to treat gallons and gallons of water. So isn't it wasting a lot of resources, and isn't it also not polluting the whole stretch of water bodies? That is creating. So that is my advice, like, because you are at a very higher level and I have worked, I'm just I can just suggest you or ask for your advice, what we can do on this. Because I have seen it, and maybe you can put your words. Oh, there is some network issue. I think she has been disconnected.
I guess probably because of some network issues at her end, she is disconnected from the session now. So, ma'am, yeah.
So, ma'am, hello. So, ma'am, what do you think? What we can do about it? Ma'am, you're not audible. Can you please?
So with the mission coming in now, actually, they have established the STPs at major locations. It is very recent, and now they are taking really stringent measures to control this kind of non-point pollution, but it is still a lot, because we have been doing the surveys of the rivers, and you're talking at one point we have actually given the GPS location of a large number of such areas where the sewage is coming directly into the river. Apart from that, as you rightly said, these small tributaries and sub-tributaries are extremely important. So after actually working on the main stem river, the Namami Gange program is now focusing on the smaller rivers and tributaries and the wetlands. Because somewhere if the plastic is there or pollution is there, ultimately it will end up in the rivers. If it goes into the wetlands, if it is not treated, it will end up in the rivers. In fact, we just did a plastic source to sea expedition with the National Geographic team also on the Ganga River. And there also this was the finding, that it is not only from along the Ganga River that it is coming from. It is coming from all these tributaries and non-point pollution, as we call them, which is extremely difficult to control, because how many STPs you're going to establish. So somewhere, as you rightly said, the rules have to be very, very stringent, even for smaller industries, even for household sewage going into the river, which will take some time, but I think it is happening slowly and slowly.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah.
So I guess there is just another comment from Dhriti, that thank you, ma'am, for such an insightful session. This is great to know how local communities are coming forward to conserve the environment with a self-sustaining model. So if there are no more questions, then I would wish to thank you, ma'am, once again for joining us here, taking out some time from your busy schedule to share your experience with us and your know about the project. It was really interesting to know how communities have come together and have participated in conservation of a river like Ganga. And those who are from Delhi, and most of us are, we would definitely love to see something like that happening with River Yamuna. And I'm sure that many students, looking at the very structured approach of conservation and that you have shared with us today, will feel motivated to take up something like that with River Yamuna, maybe at a small scale, at a college level, or maybe at a eco club level.
We would be there to support you. Actually, if somebody can take the initiative from your end, we would be there to support you with training, sensitization, in whichever way you would like to go about. And maybe you can help us create these Ganga Prairies along the Yamuna River. So now for these tributaries, we have Ganga Prairie Yamuna, Ganga Prairie Gomti, Ganga Prairie Gandak. So probably you people can take the lead in preparing from the Delhi area, Ganga Prairie Yamuna.
Yes, ma'am. If we can do any project, small project, including the students, they will also get to learn a lot, and then we will also do a bit of restoring our efforts. So surely
we would be very happy to back support you in this.
We need your guidance on this, and we would be happy, and we are happy to do it. And students are more than eager to do it.
It could be part of your clubs, environmental clubs, where people would be given marks and credits for it.
We have a research and learning center and center for earth studies, under which this program is being organized.
No, you could think of keeping a workshop or something. I keep coming to Delhi, and I could bring a few of my team members, and we could take this up. We have been looking for many colleges have approached us, but nothing materialized so far, particularly because the COVID came. But now probably if you people can take this up, and we could actually join hands.
Yes, ma'am.
All the partners are welcome to join, actually.
Okay, sure, ma'am. We'll get in touch with you regarding this.
Yeah.
We'll be happy to have your guidance, have you over our call.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for this wonderful session.
Thank you very much. So I hope we can continue working together.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Bye. Thank you.
So thank you all the participants for joining in. We will meet next, I think it's tomorrow itself, with another session, which will also include a small hands-on experience, some activity which the speaker has planned for us. So let's meet tomorrow at the same time. Thank you.